fucking notes, right?
All right, we made it to the last day of September. Anthony, I'm super excited, but you look
You're
like
in Vegas. You're in Vegas.
No, wait. You're in Vegas. Who's in Vegas?
No, you're in Vegas.
I'm so confused. I wish I was in Vegas. Hey, everybody. Welcome to No Vacancy Live with me, Glenn Houseman. Of course, the number one, the most important person we have ever got on the show, Anthony Melchiorri. Anthony, I don't know whether or not I'm excited that you're in Vegas or really depressed I'm not in Vegas, but congratulations for finally getting to one of your favorite places on earth.
You know what they're saying is here now?
Yeah.
Viva la office. So I'm officing from Vegas, baby.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I was going to say, I think MGM released a whole plan so you could office from there. You could work from your room. You could work from the conference areas. You get all your stuff done and then still enjoy the city's amenities, right?
So I'm officing from Vegas, and I got to tell you, man, it's been 7 months, and you got here before me. And I literally got into the airport, and I hugged the plane. It was weird. And but I flew JetBlue Mint class, so I had my own little pod.
Right.
I wore my mask that day for 12 hours. I don't think I took it off once.
Yep.
I felt very safe. Vegas, is not obviously there's not a lot of conventions right now, but Vegas is going. Matter of fact, as you know, what are we doing today? There's 2 hotels opening. What are they? Do you remember?
I know that the ParkMGM is opening, where you happen to be standing right now, and then the final piece of the MGM Resorts puzzle, which is the last one to open over there.
The Nomad.
The Nomad. Same building.
Nomad.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you something. You know how Vegas never sleeps? Walking through the ParkMGM yesterday, and no one was. I had to go. Security let me in, and I walked with Stacy from PR.
Yeah.
And there was nobody here. And the last time I was here, I was with Brian Newman.
Yep.
We saw Cher, and it was one of the best Vegas nights of my life. And then to walk through the same place that I remember was so busy and so just full of energy, to be here empty in a casino, from being a general manager for 30 years. I love that because I'm just used to kind of getting things ready, for the big day. So that kind of filled my energy, and I loved it. But on the other hand, I was just like, I want to see people. So before we get started, who do we have on the show today? We have 3 great people.
We got 3 great, amazing people. We're going to be starting off today with Mr. Chuck Bowling, president of Mandalay Bay and Luxor. And I was just telling him before we got on air how often I've stayed at Mandalay Bay and Luxor, how much I've enjoyed those experiences. Then we welcome back to the show Mr. John Flynn, the VP of Administration and the head of Health and Safety. You've seen him before on our show. He walked us through the pre-opening plan even before the first resorts open on June 3rd. We had him on as a video guest as well on June 3rd. And then Stephanie Glanzer, who's the chief sales officer, is going to be coming up at the top of the hour to talk all about the new paradigm of meetings and conventions and how they've been a core for Las Vegas. But Anthony,
we have a new friend. We have a new friend today, don't we?
We do, but before we get to our new friend today, Anthony, I did want to say I was a little bit jealous of you getting to have an MGM Resorts International experience. I stopped yesterday over at the Empire City Casino up in Yonkers, New York, on my way home from a speaking engagement up in Westchester to go show my love to MGM over there. Guys, thank you for reopening that property. They also just recently reopened, I believe, on the 21st. So it was great to see them back in the saddle.
Well, if they ever get poker in that resort, you will never see me anywhere but the poker room. My wife will divorce me. I will lose everything, and I will be playing poker every single day of my life.
All right, so let's get into it. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome along Ecotech. They're going to be advertising with us intermittently over the next couple of months, about once a week or so, and we're going to be sharing with you some great news about a great recyclable trash can product that they have. So it's all about health and safety, right? It's disposable, it's 100% recyclable, and made in the USA. And interestingly enough, what you could do is just throw it out, recycle it, and it's actually cheaper to do that than having a staff member go ahead and use that plastic bin, empty it, take all of your health and safety precautions. You don't have to worry about that at all. And it takes 1,564 Ecotech waste baskets to equal the carbon footprint of one plastic waste basket.
What's great from an operation standpoint, you don't have to clean the garbage can. I mean,
that's right.
You just take it, You dump it into your bag on the cart. You fold up the carton, and then you put it in the housekeeping cart. It's very simple. He sent me a whole box at home. I love it.
I got
use it
them
in my
too.
garage. I use it in my bedroom. And you just, when you're done with it, you throw out the trash. You fold up the cardboard box, and you're done with it.
As they like to say, it's when it's time to change the sheets, change the basket. It goes along with all the new health and safety protocols. Go to eco-techwaste.com. Tell them No Vacancy Live sent you and get 10% off on your purchases, right?
All right, my brother.
Let's do it.
That's great.
Let's bring in our first guest. We're not going to do any of the fancy credits. Let's bring in Mr. Chuck Bowling. Where is he? Let's bring him on. He's standing right next to you. You'd think I'd have that figured out. Boom. There he is. Mr. Bowling, wonderful to see you. Thank you so much for being here. How exciting must it be for you to finally see the final resorts in the MGM Resorts International family in Las Vegas reopening?
Well, first of all, it's super exciting, but I really want to thank you guys for helping us tell our story. With Anthony being here right next to me here at the ParkMGM and getting ready for that opening, we're super excited about that. I love your background, Glenn, of
thank you.
Home, Mandalay Bay and Luxor. But it's been a long time coming and a tremendous amount of hard work from our community and all of our family at MGM Resorts to get it open safely with excitement going forward. So today is the final day. Thank you for stopping by Yonkers and supporting us there across the country. So we don't want to miss an opportunity to say thank you, because each and every time we have an opportunity to welcome a new guest means that our employees can continue to come back, continue to contribute to the greatest entertainment destination in the world. And that's what it is. Crawl, walk, run. And today's the next part of our strategy of moving forward.
And I may have made a little bit of contribution to help you pay some of the staff workers out there as well. So you're welcome.
We appreciate that.
Yeah. And an 8 of Hearts got me yesterday, so I contributed as well. I gotta say something. Every employee I've come in contact with has thanked me for coming back. Has thanked me to be in Vegas. Most of them didn't recognize me. Like, it's not like, oh, Anthony, thanks for being here. It's like, just as a guest, they were like, thank you for coming back, and they truly appreciate it. And I also loved, I may have been to a couple of poker tables, what I loved is that everybody was wearing the shield as well, and their mask, and every single person in the hotel has to wear a mask, and I love that because I felt safe, and it felt normal. I mean, once you put it on, about 2 minutes in, I completely forgot I had my mask on, and even the partitions you have in between the players, you have 6 partitions, and I got more room than I've ever had. I felt very comfortable. I was there for a few hours. It was absolutely great.
Well, we'll tell you, I mean, we are very thankful for all of our guests coming back. It is the one great thing about working in Las Vegas. I've been in the hospitality industry for 35 years, and I've been in Las Vegas for the last 20 years. And one great thing about Las Vegas, we're not confused on what business we're in here. The first, second, third, and fourth industry is hospitality, meetings, conventions.
Uh-oh, he looks like he froze up a little bit there. He's back.
He's back.
We are very focused on the industry of hospitality, meetings, conventions, and entertainment. So every time we can welcome somebody back, we're doing it together as a community. So we are very thankful. I will say regarding health and safety, and you're going to hear a lot more about this from John Flynn in a minute.
Yep.
But we closed our resorts with health and safety in mind. The health and safety of our employees comes first and foremost, and we've opened it with that in mind. There's no exceptions in that. And so we want to make sure our employees first have a great health and safety experience to come to work and feel confident that we've got their backs, and that they in turn can give that same confidence to our guests that are coming in. So I'm glad, Anthony, you felt that way. You won't see, hopefully, anytime over the next couple of days that you're here, that fall down. That is our focus. That's how we can get our community back and our properties back up and running.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I got to tell you, I love what you've done with the hand washing stations. It's all about giving people options and choices so they can feel comfortable in the way that they want to feel comfortable. And I'll tell you, I know you're in charge of those 2 properties, but at the resort at the Empire City Casino yesterday, I was really delighted to see by how many slot machines were actually turned off in order for you to create that physical distancing with people. So you're really putting people in front of potential profits. But I got to say, the crowds there were pretty robust. So I'm very happy for you guys on that as well.
Well, thank you. And again, it's been about crawl, walk, run. This is not a sprint. This is a marathon. If we do it well, gain confidence that as we start to add meetings, conventions back, which you're going to hear from Stephanie Glanzer in a little bit, we start to add entertainment back. We believe there's a lot of pent up demand. We're seeing it, as you saw in Yonkers. We're seeing it in the drive-in market primarily. Flights are being added on a regular basis. And we want to make sure that the message going back to their hometowns is Vegas is doing it right. I have confidence. I feel good. I can't wait to go back when entertainment and meetings, conventions come back again. So we want to build a great story. And again, thank you for helping us tell it.
So as far as the restaurants go and the bars go, there's reduced capacity, but it felt really, it just felt like, obviously there's not as many people here, but it felt comfortable. When do you think you're going to start having a little bit of live entertainment that will then eventually get maybe back to some of the shows?
Did I hear it's November 1st, Chuck?
Well, there's not a firm date. One of the things that just happened last night, your timing is great. The governor actually launched an opportunity to raise the cap that has been 50 people up to 250 people in any one location. You could have 750 at a meeting, but there can never be more than 250 people. We believe that is the first step. And he has confirmed this is the very first step. This isn't the end story. Let's go it. Let's try it. See how that works. Let's make sure we do it safely. And we think that's the door opening for entertainment down the road. And again, our platform is on Convene with Confidence. And again, Stephanie's going to tell you a whole lot more about it in a few minutes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Excellent. Anthony?
No, and I think that's the key. The key is, without me even realizing it, I guess I was checking all the safety and cleanliness, but without even thinking about it. I was just, as I was walking around, so everybody with masks, I saw a lot of people cleaning different things. When I walked in my room, it was sealed. I had my kit there. I had the information on the TV. And then I forgot about it. The only thing that I have been doing differently is putting my mask on and taking my mask off. That's it.
Yep.
When I sat down and played poker, the partitions were there, but it was comfortable. I was still able to talk to people. So it's very comfortable.
Well, yeah. we've done all that with that in mind. And again, we're getting great feedback overall. You look, the early days on June 4th in the first month, when you had to tell a lot of people to remind people to wear masks. Look, that was the early days about the mandatory mask wearing. As we get in here in September and October, people get it. They know if they're coming to Vegas, that's part of the protocols. Most people, not all people, want to be a part of the solution, not part of the problem. And we're continuing to welcome guests back second and third time now because they feel confident coming to Vegas and they need an escape. They need to break away from their homes and their businesses to do something different.
Yeah, Chuck, I would argue that out of all the people that still aren't wearing masks, 90-something% of them are probably people going, oh, I totally forgot. I just got too comfortable. I was too relaxed in this environment. One of these days, I'm going to remember to leave my car with the mask and not having to go running back. So I can totally sympathize with that out there for sure.
But you know what? I'll tell you, one of the saddest days in my career was when Vegas got shut down. That's kind of because we all look at Vegas, especially for some reason, every single convention I was asked to speak to, I was in Vegas last year, 13, 14 times. And when that got shut down and then Broadway got shut down, I was like, those are the two touch points of this country. So when Vegas started opening up, we were actually there. Glenn was right in front of the fountain when they came back. And when they tested them, the first time they were on since they went down, and we were there. And that was the moment where I was like, okay, Vegas is coming back and the country's going to come back. So I think really the country feels Vegas. So the way Vegas goes, I think it's a big shot in the arm for the country. At least that's how I feel.
Well, I can tell you here, MGM Resorts is the largest employer in the state of Nevada. So once you shut down MGM Resorts, you're shutting down Nevada for the most part. So it's very important that we've welcomed back tens of thousands of MGM Resort employees. We've got a long way to go, but we want to do it slow. We want to do it safely. But I can tell you, I stood at the door when we had our first employees come back at Mandalay Bay and Luxor, and I'm sure the team here at ParkMGM is doing it right now. And to see the employees' faces when they walk in to say, I'm back home. I'm back home with the family. People have worked here 15, 20, 25 years. This is their family during the day, and then they go home at night. And to see their faces and to see the joy, nervousness. I mean, you got to be honest, they're coming back to a new environment, but they have adapted quickly. And the one great thing about Vegas, and it's ominous in some ways because October 1 is tomorrow. You talk about passion, excitement for the job, but also perseverance. And there's no industry and no community like Las Vegas and MGM Resorts that talks about perseverance to get back on top. And that's what we're here doing today.
You know, and one of the things since, and not too many people know I've come, you know, I just decided to go at the last minute. And, but now people are asking me, so do you feel safe? Do you feel safe? That's the first question out of everybody's mouth, right? When you go to Vegas, the first thing is they usually ask me, it's like, did you see the show? Did you play poker? How was the room? Now, the 3 or 4 people I know say, you know, did you feel safe? And the answer is 100%.
So it sounds like the one thing you don't want to always stay in Vegas is the messaging about how safe and secure it is. And I'll tell you, Chuck, it seems like that the business of people coming in cars from California is really starting to pick up. I've been watching some of the numbers. Sure, arrivals on airplanes are way down, but it seems like you have an opportunity to really get that drive to business right now who's dying to get out on the road, enjoy some of what the amenities you have to offer.
Well, the drive market out of Arizona, Utah, California has been enormous and has really helped us fill most of our weekends. And obviously a little lower in the midweek without a meetings convention part of that. And the good news is flights are being added. Southwest, our number one carrier, is starting to add flights back in. And again, we don't expect it all to rebound automatically. But if we can continue to show progress month after month after month, adding guests, adding employees back, we believe 21 and 22 is enormous. Now, this was going to be an enormous year for us. We continue to build on the entertainment platform that we've had of the greatest entertainment in the world. But of course, we just opened without fans for the most part, a $2 billion in Allegiant Stadium, and it is gorgeous. So our future is very, very bright.
I will tell you something, man. I loved being at your hotel for the last couple of years, and everybody knows I go to a ton of conferences there. HD Expo's there. Choice Hotels had their hotel there event a number of times. So many events take place over there. I always love when I got the room to look over the highway and watch that construction progress continued. And it was so exciting to see such an incredible project coming together between that stadium and what MGM Resorts has done with the T-Mobile Arena. It's really transforming the overall entertainment offerings in the city to really pair with the type of stuff I like to do, live music, sporting events, and all of that kind of stuff. And I got my fingers crossed we could get back to those soon.
I saw that stadium being built over the years, and I got to tell you something. When I saw it yesterday for the first time, being fully operational, it's the sexiest and smartest looking stadium I've ever seen.
T-Mobile Arena's listening. Stop.
No, I never knew a stadium could be so sexy. It was so like beautiful.
And wait till you walk inside it. I mean, what we've got coming up now is that, you know, all the meetings that you've had, the great news, all those people that we've done, Choice Hotels, all the people you mentioned, they're all on the books of the future. They can't wait to come back. That we know this is an off year, but they've made sure that they're on the books coming back in 21, 22, 23. So the meetings industry, Mandalay Bay, Luxor being one of the top meetings destination, not only in Las Vegas, but in the world. But when that Allegiant, you know, we're the entertainment capital of the world. The only one thing we were missing was a stadium for stadium tourism. The NFL is going to be great. UNLV is going to have an incredible new place to play. But when you started adding Garth Brooks and all the great shows that are going to come through there on a stadium tour, which we really couldn't provide before, it's going to change Las Vegas. It's going to change the south side of the Strip. And, of course, Mandalay Bay, Luxor, and many of the MGM Resorts properties on the south side of the Strip are going to just explode. And we're super excited about it.
Well, let me ask you, I've been seeing some boxing on television. Have you guys hosted any boxing events without fans since boxing started again?
We have. Our great partnership with Top Rank Boxing was almost every Wednesday and Friday night. I think that's the 2 nights it went. Almost since June, they've been having regular flights. They're on a hiatus right now. We did it in the MGM Conference Center with all the health and regulations, and we broadcast twice a week for almost 2 or 3 months. And we have a lot of exciting things coming up on the boxing front. Of course, UFC being based here in Vegas.
Well, I will tell you this. When Tyson comes back, if you guys are hosting him, I will call you, I will stalk you, and I will knock on your door. And I will like, Chuck, how much does it cost, and where do I sit?
You got it. Call me on that. I'll take that first phone call. Happy to do it.
All right. Well,
excellent. And Anthony, don't forget about me when that happens too. I need to be a part of. I need to be a part of that. One comment that came up, and Chuck, I know that you're at Mandalay Bay and you're Luxor, but Maureen Sloan says here, MGM smoke-free. It's actually just the ParkMGM and Nomad that are going smoke-free right now. That's where Anthony and Chuck are standing right now. What a bold move. Are you able to talk about that at all? Because it's interesting that a major company is finally making such a bold decision.
Well, it's a great thing about having a wide array of offerings and experiences in our company from MGM Resorts with the 13 properties here in Las Vegas. And John Flynn's going to get into a little bit more about it. But this is all about listening to our customers. You know, the rooms, the guest rooms and the restaurants and the meeting facilities have been smoke-free for years. So it's the next step. People have asked us to have a smoke-free environment. And the good news, we listen to our customers, and ParkMGM is going to answer that solution. And if for some reason you don't want that type of gaming experience, we have plenty more places for you to play and smoke if you like. But ParkMGM is going to provide that experience, and we believe it's something that's going to grow in Las Vegas in the future.
Well,
I think it's going to grow.
I was the first hotel in New York City when I was general manager of Luxor to go smoke-free, and everybody said I was going to lose business. Everybody said that that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. And we increased business, and we got more publicity than you can ever imagine. It was absolutely fantastic. So,
and Anthony, when you did that, that was really before culture shifted to being very right.
It was 18 years ago.
Right. And everybody thought people were crazy at that time. I remember when they went to no smoking in New York City, they're like, it's going to kill restaurants and bars. It made everything better. Well, it's good for the health and safety of your employees of that particular property. I think it's a smart move. And I love Chuck, that really MGM is all about giving people a variety of choices. And this is an important one as well.
Listen, we were all in the business and old enough to remember when everybody said no one's ever going to book a room online and no one's ever going to put their credit card online.
All right. So, right.
Yeah.
So, Chuck, speaking about being old enough to be in the business, when did you come to the Las Vegas market? And I'm curious as to when you first worked at the Luxor, because one of our regular listeners, Steve DeErasmo, said he was part of the Luxor opening in 1993. Seems just like last week. I'm curious if you ever got to go on that little river raft ride that they took you to the Inclinators.
I did not make that, but great employees that opened Luxor, built a great tradition, and I'm very honored that I've been able to move over in the last year. I've been with MGM Resorts over 20 years. I've been with Mandalay Bay, running Mandalay Bay and Delano, and Four Seasons, which, by the way, opened last week. It was the last hotel in my complex.
Oh, wow.
Opened last week as well. But now I'm over taking the opportunity to work with the team at Luxor and what they have built over there as far as fun and exciting and energetic. And he built a great, he was a part of a great opening team. Many of his colleagues are still there, and I'm getting to know the property a little bit more each day. But what they have built, he should be very, very proud of. And we're ready to continue to open up the great entertainment like Carrot Top and Blue Man Group, Bodies and Titanic exhibit open today. And so every day something is new is opening and getting exciting and providing more experiences for our guests. So thank him for opening up.
Right. I will. And Chuck, let me thank you for being one of the smartest people in the country at MGM, opening up that esports arena at Luxor, taking that old nightclub and turning it into something fresh and interesting that really plays into the social zeitgeist we're seeing right now. I don't know why no one else is really being aggressive and doing this sort of stuff, but great move on your part. What do you think about esports in general?
Well, it's a growing business, which I know absolutely nothing about, and super glad that we have the partnership with this team about it. I'm still in the old days of Pong, so I'm in big trouble here. But
wait till you open up a pickleball court. Pickleball is like they're taking over America. So I come back, it's going to be a whole hotel of pickleball. But I thought that was fantastic because esports is in 5 years. I think it's going to be a big thing in the world, and I also think because of COVID, I think that's really helped their business. I really think that they got a lot of press, they got a lot of TV time. So I think that's going to really help their business. So, and again, Vegas is always the first, and it's absolutely incredible.
Thank you. It's a growing business, and they've been able to, continue to bring in new customers and people that are ready to go, and what they're building in the future, and having the Mandalay Bay arena to have the finals in, where we pack 10,000 people in to watch the finals of EA Sports Challenges, and having everything start at EA Sports. We can build an amazing brand for years to come.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We're in ParkMGM, and I just want to make sure. Park MGM is opening at 10 o'clock on the dot. Is that correct?
That's correct. And we are starting to have a couple people gather out front, as we've had in almost all of our properties, people that want to be first. Park Theater, which is one of the great theaters to add to our entertainment portfolio, will not be opening this time. We kind of addressed it. But again, this is about opening the property, both Park MGM and Nomad, on the heels of, again, Four Seasons last week. And that rounds out all of our properties. And then as we can work with the entertainers, let me tell you, the Bruno Mars and the people, Aerosmith, they're all ready to play. We just got to give them the confidence and that we can do it right here, and we know we can. And they're in partnership with us to do it.
All I want is Brian Newman back at the Nomad and Lady Gaga performing on New Year's Eve. That's all I want.
That's all. Well,
that's one of the greatest nights in Vegas, when they actually do it in the restaurant there, and people talk about it for years afterwards. And so we're very excited about one day bringing that back.
Well, I'll tell you something. On New Year's Eve, I had a friend in the room, and Brian Newman, believe it or not, actually lives 5 minutes from me in New York. And he told me, you got to fly out to New York. It's going to be a crazy night. And unfortunately, I couldn't, because I always do a little New Year's Eve get together for the family. And my friends that were in that room said it was the greatest night of their life.
It's a special night, but that's the thing, that the only things that Vegas can create. And I will say that's one of the unique things. I've been here 20 plus years. There's nothing we can't do. There's nothing we can't create, and there's nothing we can't to evolve. And we have used this time by being closed or opening to reimagine our business, reimagine how we can create wow experiences. Technology's grown a lot about how people can use their phones for more ordering and checking into rooms. And there's a lot of great things happening that we're going to take advantage of for years to come.
That's and you know what? It's the first thing I saw, and you probably had this for years, but I ordered room service the other day, and you had a little button on the tray where I can just push so you guys can come back and get the tray.
Yep.
And
I never saw that.
I've never seen that before. How long has that been there?
All of the technology, a lot of this has come in the last, quite frankly, 6-7 months. We've really added a lot of great ways to connect with our guests, as far as for contactless menus and payment systems and checking in. And again, hopefully they'll be able to use that to find things they want to create and do themselves. And so we're really excited about what we've created.
Hey, Chuck, I've got to step out for 1 second because I've got an alarm company here. They need my attention. I'll be right back. And in case you have to step away, it was good seeing you. And just know that I can't wait to come back and use other people's expense accounts at iCandy. Okay? I'll be right.
Can't wait to have you back, Glenn.
I'll be right back, gentlemen.
Well, Chuck, being in this industry for as long as you've been in this industry, it's amazing to have people like you in the seats that you sit in, because it's tragic and it's horrific and something that hopefully we'll never deal with again. But being in your business, it's just another thing you got to deal with, and you got to show true leadership. What was it like the first stage of it? I mean, especially I would imagine the hardest thing was your employees, making sure they're safe, and also having to, unfortunately, shut the hotels down. How was that first day or two?
Well, the days leading up to it, I mean, it happened so quick. I mean, we kind of found out on a Friday. We had a full house. As you can, ConAg was a big convention. One of our biggest conventions was in-house in the city during that time. And then we had plans built up for months so that we could do it again, close safely, make sure we were handling it with safely, but also with compassion, because we were talking about people's lives. And we made a lot of personal calls myself to individuals to make sure that they knew that this was hopefully for, at that time, a short time, 30 days. And of course it was extended. I will tell you, there were some days that, I'm walking through the casino with all the lights off, some of the locks on the doors. It was an eerie feeling, and it was an uncomfortable feeling. But I will say again, there's not a community I've worked with in the hospitality community, and I've been in it in Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Atlanta, and a number of places. And the good thing is we as a community, not competitors, as a community came together, say, how are we going to secure this city? How are we going to grow it back? And we did it again safely. But it was an eerie feeling, but it didn't. It definitely replaced it when we opened, when we were able to say, welcome back and welcome back home.
That is fantastic. One last question for you. What is it that you learned about yourself as a professional during this extremely difficult time?
Well, I started as a bellman and front desk in college, and so I've had a long run in the hospitality community. And being over the last couple of years, well, we've had some highs and some lows in this community. One thing I've learned about myself is you can't do it alone. And we're all going to do it together. The thousands have come back and said, "I got you back, Chuck. What do you need us to do? How do we come back together?" And I guess I knew that, but I've reemphasized that a couple times. And we have to stay together to continue to build it back so that we have a long and exciting career. And again, the best days of Las Vegas, the best days of MGM Resorts, the best days of ParkMGM, and of course, Mandalay Bay and Luxor are ahead of us. And we're excited to get to the other side.
That's fantastic. Beautiful. Anthony, any final questions for our friend there?
It's an absolute pleasure. And when Tyson's fighting, I will be back.
I'm looking for the call. Thanks again, guys, for helping us tell our story. It's a big deal to us today.
Thank you very much, sir.
It's an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. All right, so while we wait for him to switch out and we get on Mr. John Flynn onto the line, man, this is so exciting. I love that you got access to the casino before it was open to the public. Reminds me of when I was honored enough to get to the opening of Aria and then called City Center. It's so neat walking around the building before anybody else comes in there and really feeling like you're part of that opening team, right?
It was absolutely incredible. Somebody asked me last night, you would never come back to a hotel and run a hotel, and you and I have had this discussion several times. I started to tear up, as I always do when I talk about it. I was like, oh my God, in heartbeat. The right hotel wants me as a GM, and I would absolutely jump at a chance to be GM of a really great hotel that's close to my house. But I probably have to be a few more years closer to retirement to do that. I know it sounds ridiculous. You know, my retirement's going to be running a hotel.
Right. You're going to be right. You know what you're going to do? You're going to wind up doing the Margaritaville retirement community or something like that.
Absolutely. So, but this, I tell you, being back is it's amazing. And, you know, being here and you know what, getting access on a day like this to the people that run basically Vegas.
That's right.
It's kind of cool. When I was a little kid, I always said, I don't want money and power. I want access. And to have the access, I am so grateful and blessed that we have this kind of access to be able to bring, you know, the people watching the show, the things that they're seeing and really hear from the people that are making this happen. And it's a blessing. And I'll never not be grateful for it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The funny thing about Las Vegas, it's such a big town, but it's really such a small town. If you get in and you hang out long enough, you meet the right people, you could really get that access to all of the cool things that are going on behind the scenes. And I'm super blessed.
You see it when you fly in and you go from the desert and then there's like this little patch of lights.
Yeah.
And then when you wake up in the morning, if you're in one of these beautiful sky suites, you see Vegas and then you just see desert and you realize this is a small town. You know, it's a big small town.
It is. And let me tell you, I'm so freaking lucky, Anthony, because I got to go to the openings of not just Aria and Vidara and all of City Center, but I got to be at the opening of Palazzo. I got to be at the opening of Wynn Encore Las Vegas. I got to go to the opening of Cosmopolitan. There's nothing cooler than being in a mega resort when they first open those doors and the dice start rolling. It's so much fun.
Well, the only thing cooler than that is being in charge of that.
Yeah, right. Yes, except for all of the pressure. But it's really cool. I don't know if you got to see any of it, but I remember very vividly when I was at the opening of City Center, how like they were practicing all the dealers with fake money and stuff. And then you saw them bringing in all the real chips and loading everything up. And that was a really cool behind the scenes element that I got to have.
Well, yeah, that one night I was in the safe counting all the chips and, you know, I spent the night in jail. No, I'm just kidding.
As a matter of fact, speaking of Vegas and helping yourself to stuff, I just showed the kids Ocean's 11, the remake version with Clooney and Brad Pitt and stuff like that.
I got a story.
Yeah.
I was at Wheeler Global, which runs Nickelodeon in Algonquin. We're doing a deal with Warner Brothers. They brought us out. They want us to build a hotel for Warner Brothers. So I get on the set of Warner Brothers. I'm with the owners, and they have the big marquee with our names. Welcome, you know, Miller Global. So we get there, and they're bringing us around the lots. I've never been on these big lots before. And they're about to shoot Ocean's 11. So I walk into the set, and I thought it was a casino. I was like, I didn't know you guys have like a hotel and casino here. Because no, this is the set. I go, but it looks like I'm in a hotel in the casino. And there was a little remnant of carpet on the floor. like the little piece that they just cut off. I put it in my pocket. And I still have that. but I was like, it literally looked like I was in a casino. It was the coolest thing ever.
That's pretty awesome. And I should let you guys know there's this great new book by Professor at UNLV, David Schwartz, about the whole history of the Las Vegas and the Sands property specifically. We're going to be having him on a guest coming on in the next few weeks to talk all about old school Las Vegas history, the history of that particular property. But right now, we're going to get back to talking about health and safety and what's going on at MGM Resorts with Mr. John Flynn. I think he's ready to go. Let's bring him on board. John Flynn, my friend, great to see you again, sir.
Glenn, Anthony, great to be back. Thanks so much for all the coverage you guys have given us in the entire industry. It's so helpful, and man, we've come a long way, haven't we, in the last several months?
Well, speaking of coming a long way, I'm going to come inside and come hang out at the Nomad.
Oh, the
now,
Nomad, yeah.
While we're waiting. So, boom, I'm now at the Nomad. I wish I was with you guys in person right now. But
okay, you are looking at my favorite room.
I know. That's why I picked this one.
Wait. This is important. This is important. That is.
Let me get out of the way.
That is my favorite room on planet Earth. If I'm ever lucky enough to have a library in my house, it's going to look just like that.
I thought you were referring to my office.
Well, you were talking about Gaga on New Year's Eve, and that's where it took place. Yeah, that's where it happened. Right there, right behind you.
Well, my friend John DiDomenico, who's an entertainer here in Vegas, he was there, and he literally was screaming through the phone. It was like the best night of his life. He was with his fiance. He's like, oh my God. He's like, you have no idea what's going on right now. I said, I do, and it's killing me, so stop calling me.
Yeah. All right, so when Brian Newman gets back to doing regular shows at the Nomad in that lounge, go see it. I got to catch a midnight show of his. It was so freaking cool because it was a mix of old school Las Vegas with modern standards all put together in this incredibly entertaining package. I had so much fun. And I got to tell you, John, I really love ParkMGM and how it's been redeveloped and reinvented. And I encourage all of you to go check out a podcast I did. Go check out our No Vacancy podcast feed. While you're at it, also subscribe to the Checking In with Anthony and Glenn podcast feeds if you want audio versions of all our show, because we got to talk about that transformation. Really, I love what you guys are doing, revitalizing everything, reinventing everything. And again, it goes back to how now you're reopening without smoking, thinking about the health and safety with people, revitalizing that property once again with a brand new angle. So interesting.
Yeah, it is. And you guys have seen the response we've got on social media and from a lot of our customers on the excitement around this and nationally and internationally, a lot of the comments that we've got. And this wasn't something that just developed that we thought of during the closure. This is something that was thought of, by Bill Hornbuckle and a lot of our leadership team in the development phase when we were transitioning from Monte Carlo to ParkMGM. So I think this is something that's in the backs of everyone's minds for the last couple of years. And then during this last 6 months of closure, it's given us the opportunity to come in, get the carpeting out, change out some of the wallpapers, set up the signage, get our employees trained up, get the marketing piece going, and really get everybody prepared for this full smoke-free environment. Because, our rooms have always been smoke-free at all of our properties, right?
That's right.
Food and beverage has always been smoke-free, and some of our regionals has always been smoke-free. But this is the first full integrated resort in Las Vegas that's going to be entirely smoke-free. So we're pretty pumped.
Yeah, 5 years ago, I would have said ballsy move. Right now, I say, man, that's right on trend. And I think the right move at the right time. And with the great reset button that's been hit on everything, it's a really unique opportunity to reintroduce this to the public without any friction from a small faction of smokers out there. So I think that's a really good idea. I've got one great question for you, John. Speaking about the health and safety thing, what about luggage procedures? How are you doing all of that? Do people take their own bags to their rooms? Are they delivered? Anything that you could add on that, sir?
Sure. Yeah. In most cases, our customers are still wanting to take their own bags up to their rooms. But if they want assistance with that, we certainly have those protocols in place. And of course, we started this thing off with our 7-point safety plan back in May. And so we looked at every single step-by-step process that we do, from bag check-in to how you pour a beverage to everything on the casino floor. Every little nook and cranny was looked at. And so a lot of those protocols are in place. And quite frankly, we've even talked about some of these things you've seen that may not even go away as this pandemic starts to subside. And we know there's going to be spikes and things along the way, but we do think some of these things, it's just good practice to have in general. And we think some of those things are going to stay.
So what are some of those things? My guess is those hand washing stations that you put in just make sense. If I'm touching slot machines, if I'm touching money, if I'm touching chips, I'll probably want to just wash my hands as soon as I hit the cage and cash out. Right?
That's a good point, Glenn. Yeah, and we've gotten good feedback on that. I think the idea of touching chips and touching dice and touching cards, being able to have that hand sanitizer close by, I think you're definitely going to see that. Obviously, the technological investments that we've made, those came from, initially from the customer request from last year, and we have the great organic capability to bring those to life in a couple of months. So that's going to continue. The QR code menus are going to continue. I think the digital waiting lines are going to continue. So, look, if you as a customer don't have to wait in line, well, that's great for you because you get to go somewhere else. And then for us, from a business standpoint, we don't want lines. We want you to have fun. And then it also gives you an opportunity to go out and experience some of our other offerings here throughout our properties.
Right. Wait, hold on, Anthony. Please repeat that. We had you muted for a second. Please repeat that.
I said, but on the other hand, people like me, I was very fortunate you guys hooked me up with the Sky Suites. I love going in there. I love meeting the front desk agent, giving me my key. I went, had my little sandwiches. Yesterday, I had some kind of lobster sandwich. It was about that big. I made it eaten like 30,000 of them. It was absolutely delicious. And then I went upstairs. The next morning I woke up and I ordered room service on the phone. So I personally, when I'm at a resort like that, a 5-star resort like that, I want just a few touch points. I didn't want housekeeping. I didn't want turn down service, but I did want to see a front desk agent, and I did want to call somebody in room service to take my order.
Yeah, that's right. And that same thing goes with our smoke-free scenario here at ParkMGM. This is customer preference and optionality. So we want to make sure that entire spectrum from anything that you want, that we're able to offer that. And so we'll continue to get that customer feedback. That's great feedback, Adam. We'll make sure we take that back. But as we continue to see trends, and we got data analytics and what the data is telling us, and from what we get back on our scores in that, we definitely will make those changes. And organically, we have the ability with our org structure to be able to take that and be able to apply it and change it up if need be.
Right.
So just real quick, I don't want to forget this. One Air Force guy to another, what had your training in the cockpit of the airplanes for the United States Air Force? What was the thing that got you ready for this position during a global pandemic? Did your military training really kick in during this emergency?
I think it did. I think that was my first training coming out of high school and college, where you're set up with this really nebulous set of circumstances that you have to develop rules of the road for to be able to get it across the finish line. We do that in combat. We do that with medical evacuations. We do that with tsunami relief. We do that with the open hand of hospitality in the military. And then you bring that over to MGM, which, as you know, we have a lot of different business units here. And it's the same sort of model where you're presented with sometimes a lot of different data. You try to figure out a way to organize it into some sort of method or process that then achieves the goal you're trying to get. And then you put the team together, and then you drive it. You get some leaders involved and make sure that you get across the finish line. So in terms of process flow, root cause analysis, getting the problem solved, and then making it sustainable, I think those are a lot of the routines that I learned in the military that crossed over to corporate sector that a lot of people here have been doing as well.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Now, John, at the onset of this, I should say the onset, when you first reopened, the first questions we had was, how is it going? And we were very both open about it's a learning process. You think of everything going into it, but you've got to remain flexible. You've got to learn on the go. What are some of the lessons that you've learned since you reopened in June that you've been able to successfully implement and reinvent to make sure that you're always at the cutting edge of safety and health standards?
Yeah, that's a great question, because we continue to get new information every day about this virus. We continue to get new information just from guest feedback and even from the feedback we're getting from our employees.
Right.
So I think in our initial modeling, we were conservative in our approach because we did want to do this the right way. We want to continue to do this the right way. So it was a stair step. We wanted to crawl and walk before we could run. And we still got a ways to go before we can run. So I think what we saw certainly in the first couple of months was that demand and excitement to be able to come back. I think it was better than what we expected, which is really good to see. And so for us, when you take a look at, at least here in Las Vegas, most of California was shut down. There weren't any shows. You couldn't attend sports. So this side of the Mississippi River, this side of the Rocky Mountains, we were the only show in town. So we had a lot of drive-in traffic. We had a lot of customers show up. And so being able to make sure that our line queuing, making sure that the wait times, making sure that the social distancing and the mask wearing was being abided by with large groups of people, that's in our DNA. And so I think we knew how to do that, but with that sort of open hand of hospitality that I talked about before, how do you enforce that and how do you do that the right way? That takes a couple of weeks of some learning from our end of it, and then it takes a couple of weeks from our guests and our customers to do that on their end too. And so we found this real good, I think, flow over the last couple of months where I think everybody's really on board with all the health and safety mechanisms we put in place.
So that's interesting. So you didn't actually have to go ahead necessarily and make specific changes. It's more of everybody's just got to get ramped up and used to those changes. Is that correct?
A little bit of both. I think there was some getting used to it both on our side, right?
Of course.
Just get some repetitions and you get into this new routine. And same with the guests and the customer side, them coming in. Some states didn't require masks. We made that mandatory. So coming in wearing a mask, that was mandatory. Seeing that happen, making sure you're maintaining your social distancing, washing your hands. I think that those sorts of things just became routine here and will continue to be routine. I think yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think some of the changes have been welcome changes as we've been able to slowly open up events. And that's, I know you're talking with Mr. Bowling about that earlier, events and conferences, and how do we do that the right way and setting up processes and checklists, which is what we've done. So every special event that comes through, it goes through our health and safety vetting, goes up through legal and gets approved before we do that. So those are new things that as we have the rules of the road within COVID, and as we've proven out the things that we've done over the last couple of months certainly do provide a much healthier and safer environment for folks. How do we take those lessons learned and now increase it to 50 people? And now we're going to do it for 250 people. And now we're going to do it up to 1,000 people.
Right.
And then continue to prove that out.
Right.
And one of the things when it comes to the safety, you've got to feel like, listen, it's not streamlined where you don't notice it. Of course you notice it. But one of the things, like, it's all about nuance. When you're sitting at the poker table, the glass next to you is thinner, clearer, and just it gives you more space. I went to your competitor last night, and it was a lot more confined. The plastic was very thick, and I felt claustrophobic, and I probably will never go there again until this all gets back to normal because I just didn't enjoy it. Whereas I was at the area, and it just felt completely different. In a few minutes, I didn't even notice it.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, John, when I was there with you when you reopened Bellagio on that amazing day that we had, I noticed that the plexiglass was sometimes so clear and so thin it was almost invisible to people. Yeah, I had to do a double take to notice it was there. So I thought that was pretty good as well.
Yeah, I think we talked about that before, right? You want to try to make some of these seamless to the experience where you just get used to it. You don't even notice it after a while. And I think
That's right.
I think that's what's happened.
Yeah, but again, another casino did it, but they did it just about 10% different, and it made a 100% difference. And to your point, Glenn, that glass you're talking about, they have a little very kind of light dot on the glass to let you know there's glass there. Because you do forget. Matter of fact, I turned and was talking to somebody and through the glass, and I completely forgot that there was glass between us. So
I suspect that was added, that little dot, because I don't recall that from when I got there.
Yeah, that was added. You want to talk about some changes we made that we actually added those on earlier on because they were so clean and clear. It's hard to see and you might bump into them.
Yeah, interesting. I noticed some. I don't know if it was added and you're doing it in Vegas or it's just different policies in different places. But when we were with Melanie Johnson, who runs Borgata in Atlantic City, I noticed that anytime you got up from a gaming position, they put down a sign that says it needs to be sanitized, and somebody came on and did something manual and cleaned it up. Is that policy across the country, or is that just something that I saw because it fit whatever was going on in New Jersey specifically?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think for MGM, when we standardize something or we put a new rule like that in place or a new policy, we try to make that across the board at all of our properties. just because we just think that that's the right way to do that. And so, but anytime if anybody gets up from their chair and leaves, if they want it cleaned, we've got our EVS attendants that are on call, standby, ready to come over there and clean it up. Back to your original point, we wanted same with mask policy, right? When we mandated masks at our properties, it wasn't mandatory in several of the other states, but we wanted it mandatory. We made it mandatory for our guests and for our employees very, very early on.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been here if there was no mandatory. If some people had masks and some people didn't, I wouldn't have come. Period. It was very important to me. And when people did get up from the table, it was always cleaned immediately. Okay, there was not enough time to place a card there because they just immediately cleaned it before somebody sat down. And again, your competitor was doing it with a towel. You did it with a wipe, with a clean wipe every time. When they were cleaning it with a towel, I was kind of grossed out, to be perfectly honest, not to hit anybody else, but like you guys just did it better. And it's the nuance. It's some people don't care. Some people don't even want to wear a mask. But to me, I am going to travel. I am going to get on an airplane, and I'm going to go to good hotels that get it. And that's how I'm going to travel. When hotels and companies don't take it seriously, most people won't travel. But most people, again, a hardcore traveler like me, I want to travel, but I also want people to take responsibility for their resorts and their hotels, and more importantly, for their employees, because their employees are in this environment every day.
And, I think we talked about this months ago that we have like 3 buckets of travelers, right? You got one bucket, they weren't traveling then. They're probably not going to travel until next year, until we have a vaccine and we have mass inoculation. Then you have another group of travelers. They would have been traveling in the middle of April. But the broadest number was our travelers that needed maybe a little bit of confidence boost and a lot of confidence boost and trust and reestablishing that trust. We talked about that too. So all those little things you're talking about, Anthony, that's all about reestablishing and building that trust. And then hopefully with the MGM brand, when you think about trust, when you think about, what place I want to stay next time, you'll remember those little things, because we are thoughtful and we do put a lot of time and effort into making sure that we get all those steps correct.
So, John, let me ask you this question, because obviously you need to get that message out because you need people to want to feel comfortable. So how do you balance it in your marketing messages to make everybody feel comfortable, get them to want to travel again without scaring them that you have to take so many precautions that maybe they should stay home? It's a real tough balancing act.
Yeah, so you got the science, and how do you turn it into art? Right. And that's the art of it is the things that we were talking about earlier, taking these protocols and just making it part of the overall guest experience to the point where you're coming to Vegas, you can have many of the same great experiences you had from before. There's just going to be a little bit of nuances. And quite frankly, at this point in time, I think more of the country has gotten used to these health and safety protocols because they've had to wear masks. They walk into their local restaurants and supermarkets and are doing many of the same things that we started doing back in May. Yeah. Right. And so I think that's sort of just become part of the norm. And then maybe back in May, where if you walked in here, you looked around and said, geez, what's all this new stuff I'm seeing? Now people walking in, looking around saying like, hey, why isn't there plexiglass here? How come there aren't masks over here, right? Right. So now I think that's become part of the social norms in many parts of the country.
So that's interesting. So you're really talking, and the whole theme of this conversation right now for everyone watching is being flexible, being understanding that things change. And John, when you first opened up, and I was with you there for the opening in Bellagio, a lot of, I think, was supposed to be in your face. We are doing this for you to make sure you're safe. But I think we're moving more into the phase now. As you so said, people are getting more accustomed to things. You want it there, but you don't necessarily want everything in the person's face. You want it to be a little bit more subtle so they can enjoy the experience without feeling that it has to be too sterile of an experience. Is that a fair assessment of what you're experiencing now?
Yeah, I think that's a great assessment, Glenn. And I think over time, if, obviously we're working with our health department, medical advisors, and the local regulators. And so as we think, 3 to 6 months into the future, what are some of those things that we might draw back on first? Don't know what those are. But then, like I said before, there's going to be some things that we keep in place because it's all about customer preference. There might be some customers that for the next 5-10 years, they like having that plexiglass at the poker table. Right. They like having a plexiglass there at the blackjack table. Right. And so we have to think through and we have to get creative around how do we keep that optionality out there to satisfy all of our customer base. So that's going to be, I think, a more welcome conversation to have going forward, because it means more jobs, it means bringing more people back, instead of having to talk about how we're going to slow things down.
Personally, I like that everybody was wearing the mask and we had the plexiglass, because I don't like when people are eating at the table. I don't like when people are, picking their face and biting their nails and putting their hands on my chips and my cards. So one of the things I noticed was, like, no one was eating and no one was touching their face, including me. I wasn't touching my face. And so I will probably be one of the mask wearers for a while, especially on an airplane. I didn't find it that it would never stop me from coming back. Again, being at the table, one of the things in any poker room I've ever been in is I don't like when people are touching their face, biting their nails, and eating food when we're all touching the same chips. So I kind of liked it.
Yeah. And I'll argue, I think, again, to underscore it, the biggest message that we're trying to push home on this show every single day is we've got to get out there and travel again, share those stories with everybody about why it's not as big of an issue as people may perceive it to be. Remember, once people get out and travel and see it's okay, they're going to do it again. And John, that's why I can't wait to get on a plane and come out to visit you guys again real soon.
Yeah, we can't wait to welcome you guys back. And it's great to see some of the airlines coming out with the testing protocols. You saw United make an announcement. You saw Lufthansa make an announcement last week. And then you saw our announcement yesterday about our new testing protocols and partnering with Clear for this.
Clear. Mm-hmm.
Now, sorry,
so talk through that, John.
Plug right there, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that's what that new health pass could look like.
Yep.
Yeah. So talk through that.
Right. So what we wanted to do was think about this, not just to be able to solve some of these problems for the next couple of months, but for the next year or two. And we didn't want to sit back and assume that there would be some sort of development that would help us through this. So proud of the company to take a leadership step on this forward. And so what we wanted to be able to do was provide a rapid on-site molecular test, and then also have a way of tracking and having your health, not your health record, but the results of your test come back, so that when it's negative, which in most cases these tests are, they are negative, that's what permits you entrance into, let's just say, your convention, right? So you get conventionaires and our sales teams, if you want to provide this to the convention, then we now give you the optionality to do that. It's not mandatory, it's optional, but the number of calls that we've received and a lot of the outside research that we've been seeing is that a lot of these meeting organizers, both at the ground level, but also in the C-suite and the legal departments and risk, was that for the time being, for the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months, who knows, if we can set up this testing protocol so that you're testing people every day, going into these spaces with lots of people, then let's figure out a way to do that. And it has to be rapid, it has to be accurate, it has to be all those things that we continue to reinforce. And so we surveyed the NHL, we took a lot of their best practices. We talked to one of the other leagues that also has a great bubble out there. We brought in some of their best practices, coalesced all this into one platform, and we could do it here in Vegas or anywhere around the country.
Wow, that is fantastic.
But for those of you that kind of missed a little what he was saying, Clear, of course, helps you get through the airports quicker through biometrics. Every time I go through, I use my eyes and I don't have to touch anything. It lets me in. I used it once to get into a hockey game last January. And the NHL, as you were just saying, was very successful using the Clear cleaning protocol programs that they have in order to help protect their bubble. So I just want to add a little context to it.
It was amazing, Glenn, as I really appreciate when you said eyes, that you showed us your eyes so we knew what you were talking about.
I don't want people to get confused and think it's my ears or my elbow or anything like that.
No, but that's the kind of things that we need businesses to do, because it's free enterprise, and right now capitalism is under attack, but that's kind of how we move this country forward. That's what this country's been built on. So I think that that's fantastic, and I think that would make me feel better. I know I'm going to a wedding in a couple of weeks, and if I knew that technology was in place, I feel a lot better.
And that's what's happening. Wedding parties, even these small parties people are having, they want to have people getting tested as they walk in. So we think it's a certain value add. We think it's going to help bring that midweek business back, certainly on the convention side. We're working on ways to also bring back entertainment and be able to bring fans back into the arenas too. And what that means for the communities, that means more jobs. That means we get to bring many of our employees back to work. That's what we're most excited about.
So now, will the government allow that to be, if everyone is using that? Say you make it mandatory. If you have you have a concert, will you be able to have a concert if you have that protocol in place? Has it gotten to that level?
Well, as you saw yesterday, the governor here in Nevada, Governor Sisolak, he raised our limit capacity up to 250, and then we can go up to 1,000 with a specific plan in place. But that's not a contingent upon any sort of testing protocol. So that sort of testing protocol and saying that you can go up in capacity or that it's mandatory in one way or another, that has not come out in any sort of directive.
So do you think the Nomad library that my friend right there is in, do you think that venue will be open in the next month, 2-3 months?
I personally hope so. I think we'll see. We'll take a look at business demand. Obviously, we're opening up here today in just a couple of minutes,
right?
And then hopefully in the next couple of months, as we take a look at the customer flow that we get, we can open that up.
So, right. So some of the challenges that you and every other company in the hospitality industry is having is not just the rules for the city, state, or federally that can allow stuff to happen, but it's whether or not customers actually feel comfortable enough to want to engage in those particular activities. So again, it's a very difficult thing for you to try to figure out, even if you're allowed to do something, whether it's fiscally responsible and smart to go ahead with the plan.
Yeah, that's correct, and that's why I think we want to do this the right way. That's why we're piloting it here in the next couple of weeks. We've already been doing some things behind the scenes with it,
right.
but it's building trust. Certainly with our customers, it's building trust with our regulators, and quite frankly, nationally, we want to open source this model. We want Broadway. We want everyone else around the country that has one of our 5 or 6 lines of business. If they want to know how we're doing it, if they want some help standing it up, that's what we want to do. It's about Vegas, but it's about the entire economy. And that's why we're excited to be able to at least play a little part leading this effort.
And you know what? Everybody looks at you as a leader for trends that are out there. So I'm not surprised that they're looking at you for the health and safety protocol trends as well. The city's done an incredible job at continuing to reinvent itself over the last 100 years. I mean, every couple of decades, it's something completely different. I love that. And I love that you're going to be able to incorporate all of these new protocols in it to make sure that people can come to your town, feel safe, and most importantly, spend some money with you. Anthony, you're muted again. Hold on. Let's get you off.
I don't know if you saw that survey yesterday, but there was a survey that asked, if you have a trip planned, does that help you in your day-to-day? Are you happier? I think 92% people that have trip plans feel happier in their everyday.
Yeah. Hey, just answer that question. Apparently, you're about to open. You've got to go, John. I don't want you to miss that.
Yeah, that's right. We're pretty excited. We'll have every single property open around the globe. So to be able to go from shutdown to opening everything up in 6 months, pretty proud of this great team that I get to work for.
Awesome.
And my favorite hotel, the Nomad. That's where I'm staying next time.
All right, John, get out of here. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Glenn. Look forward to seeing you.
What you guys are doing. Keep up the good work. We really respect it.
Thanks,
Thank you. Awesome. Wow. I mean, this is such a fun show, Anthony. I'm getting extra jealous now at this point, because what you're going to be able to do is any second now, you're going to be able to turn around and see those people coming into the casino and feel that energy I felt when people were at the doors waiting to get into Bellagio when they reopened up in June.
Right. We actually have our camera crew out at the door right now taking that video. So once that video is shot, and actually he's shooting the video behind the scenes here, we're going to put that into a little film, and we're going to play it on one of our shows next week. But we're going to show you the actual opening. It's not going to be that busy because it's early morning, and it's Vegas isn't obviously fully occupied. But to have the Nomad open and ParkMGM, it's a big deal.
Yeah, and to be fair, Vegas is not a 10 a.m. city. It's more of a 10 p.m. city.
Even when it's really busy, crazy busy, I'll go take a walk maybe 10, 11 o'clock. I'll go downtown just to walk around and see the Gold Nugget and stuff. There's nobody out.
Yep.
It's 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. I know when I was there before any of the buildings opened, it was so bizarre walking down the streets. It felt like it was, a zombie apocalypse movie at first. But now it's great to see that people are out there. People are enjoying themselves. Now, Anthony, when I was there in June, we were still in that weird place, what they were mentioning on the show. Some places required masks, some places didn't. Some people didn't really have an understanding of what's happened. Based on your observations at the hotels that you've visited in the last day or so, how have you been feeling about the state of the city and all the customers within it at the varied resorts?
99.9% of the people in every hotel I've been to, I've only been 2 or 3, are wearing masks. 80% of the people on the street are wearing masks. I went last night to the Wynn to have dinner. I was not comfortable. I asked the host, I'm not comfortable eating dinner inside. I'm coming from New York. We have not had a meal inside a restaurant in 7 months. I will not come if it's not an outdoor restaurant. So we went to the Sinatra restaurant, and I sat outside because I was with like 6 people. And if I was just sitting by myself or with you, I'd eat inside. But I'm sitting with people I don't really know.
Right.
And so we sat outside, and I was very comfortable.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Looks like we've is Stephanie ready to go? Looks like it. She's smiling. Let's bring her in. Stephanie Glanzer, Chief Sales Officer, MGM Resorts International. It is an absolute pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me today. I appreciate the opportunity and the coverage. It's an exciting day for us.
It is an exciting day.
I would just say, as important as Chuck and John are, you're the chief sales officer, okay? If you don't do your job, we don't get to operate.
A little bit of pressure.
So basically, I can ask you one question. You can talk for an hour probably. How are you getting conventions and meetings? And I mean, that's the number one priority, right? Like what, and John was just talking about the tracing, and I think that is phenomenal. I didn't know about that until he mentioned it. I think it is, I know I'll feel much safer coming to a convention if I hear that. So tell me what it's like to be you right now.
It's pretty cool to be me, actually. Look what I get to do.
How was it to be you in July when there was 0 event attendees, right? So you must be feeling pretty good right now. I believe, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I do want to just set the tone for people. The 0 attendees in like June and July for meetings. I believe August had 1.4 million, and you normally have about 6 million citywide. So that must be something that's encouraging for you. Now, please answer Anthony's questions and go on for the next hour. I'm done.
Nope. I won't go on for the hour. But I think one clarity that's important to talk about is, believe it or not, since we reopened in June, we have actually hosted many successful small groups, all according to protocol, all within the 50 capacity gap. And really what our job is now is to tell that story on how it was important to us to get there slowly, to get there safely, and to share the success stories of the groups that have happened. You asked the question of, what it's like to be me in July and what it's like to be me now. I will share with you that to have this team of salespeople that have never given up every single day and have stayed in constant communication with our customers, whether they have business on the books or not, to make sure that we are staying top of mind, give them updates on our technology that we've created, on our innovation, on the future, on the health and safety of protocols, and more importantly, just checking in with people. I have to say that has been the feedback that I'm most proud of, is that we have a group of sales teams that literally have spent their days since March staying in email, Zoom, Teams, virtual communication with our customers, making sure that we are working through scheduling of future opportunities if they had to cancel, if we are working through creative solutions so that they can still make their programs happen. So I will tell you, as much as we're all working and as much and passion as we care about, it has been exciting to again slowly get us back to a place where we can bring our convention business back to Las Vegas and MGM Resorts.
Wow. I don't know whether you're just super encouraged or this is your natural tone, but I love hearing how positive you are. This is, to me, the first time I've heard someone who does anything to do with getting event business so positive. So it's great to see.
Good. Chief Sales Officer. It's what she does.
In fairness, you are asking a question 24 hours after a major launch for us. So the positivity and the release of what we are calling Convene with Confidence, which is going to be our group safety program, you are absolutely right that it has motivated me to coincidentally have it be the same day that the governor increases the gathering limits. Again, another positive sign for our industry. And look, there is a reason that we were slow to get to where we are. And I do feel positive today, probably far more positive than I was in July.
So let's go. I want to go through it point by point, Convene with Confidence, and helping people really understand that. But before we get into that, one of the biggest challenges that you have that's out of your control is that airlift issue. So how are you processing that right now in order to be able to keep moving forward and, more importantly, be able to book events when there's that sense of uncertainty out there?
Sure. The airlift capacity is a big one, right? The only part that I will say that didn't impact or doesn't impact me as much is, let's face it, is groups of large quantities can't meet right now.
Right.
So as airlift is slowly coming back and we're seeing positive signs, is at the same time that our group gathering limits are being increased and people are really focused on the future. Our number one goal has been for those groups that are outside of, what would fall under force majeure or having to make hard decisions, is how do we retain them for the future? So if it means rescheduling or if it means having to cancel this year and sign for another year, that has been our number one goal. So to get back to your airline capacity issue, on the group side, it yet hasn't been a huge impact just because we haven't been able to hold large mass events anyway. And in a moment, within Convene with Confidence, I also want to make sure that, we're talking about, we have the capability to offer both virtual and hybrid opportunities to our groups for those that can't get to the headquartered hotel.
Okay, so that makes sense. And I'm seeing a lot of that sort of thing coming into the fore right now. Everybody wanted to do virtual at first, but people are starting to remember the magic of getting together. And a hybrid event that allows people to meet that feel comfortable doing that while also opening up the event to folks that aren't yet comfortable or unable to come, I think makes a whole lot of sense. One of the things that you're doing with Convene with Confidence is you're already making it easier for people to book meetings virtually without even having to be on site, correct?
And I'm so sorry, it went out for a moment. But
I'm talking about how you're doing virtual site inspections. Do your talking points on that.
That's okay. That is something that we wanted to make sure that we set up immediately after closing to be able to physically walk someone through a property, a building, their meeting space virtually. So again, we've been doing it with, I don't want to say a makeshift way, but we've been doing it as best we can. And what we're about to launch is a true virtual process that we will be able to show people every aspect and setup and diagram of their space as they are sitting in front of their computer at home.
And I think I will add that in some ways that's better than being physically present, because a lot of times the room is either empty that I'm looking at and I have to visualize what it's going to look like, or the event is set up for something that's nothing like I'm going to use. What you can do is set it up to be the exact way they want it so they can understand how everything is going to work. And when you're talking about having physical distancing guidelines built into there, I think that's going to really help make people want to book an event sooner.
It's absolutely critical. It's absolutely critical. I mean, this is how you get back. You don't have to wait for the government to tell you how to do it. You don't have to wait for your neighbor to tell you how to do it. This is how you do it. And this is going to be copied in other businesses around the country. And it is absolutely critical, because when we talk about our guests and we talk about our hotels and getting things back, yeah, we want our guests to travel. We want to travel. But what do we want to do? We want to get people back to work. We need to get people back to work. And MGM being the number one, biggest employer in the state is critical.
Yes. So hence the reason for us wanting to announce to the world Convene with Confidence yesterday. And really what Convene with Confidence is a master umbrella of just meeting safely and getting face-to-face meetings back. And as you mentioned, starting with the pre-planning and site inspection, I'll give you an example of how things have changed since prior to March. We just did a site inspection where, of course, you had meeting planners to come in to look at the physical assets and walk the space. And literally what they did is from a meeting room, they then zoomed back to their home office where they had their entire meeting teams spread out around the country. And if you think about it, all of those people wouldn't have been a part of that planning visit or site inspection prior to us going to this hybrid model. So we're actually in some ways having the touch point of reaching more people to be more productive.
Awesome. I love that idea. Again, crisis breeds innovation. I got to tell you, I'm sorry to take a break for a second here, but I love seeing customers behind you guys. It's so awesome to see them all rolling in right about now. And people, I've seen it. You can't see them necessarily right now, but people were just peeking in, Anthony, and saying, hey, what's going on in there? There's something exciting happening in there. So again, congratulations on reopening. Another cool thing about Convene that I think is interesting and gets to the heart of something that annoys the heck out of me is having to wait on a long line to register when I get there. You're now adding an element where I could do that before I even get to the conference.
Exactly. Both with hotel registration and the recommendation and actually the preferred method of even a conference registration. So now within our MGM Resorts touchless check-in, having the capability to offer that to groups, attendees can go straight to their guest room, check in and get settled. And again, the next part of that is how do they come down to registration for the convention without having to wait in a queue of lines, being back to back with people. So that's something that our teams are really working on in the planning phases of how do you do pre-registration, electronic registration for that exact reason. So we're, because of this, adding service enhancements of things that we've just pushed ahead to make happen because we've had to.
Well, thank you for that, because I got to tell you, I can't stand waiting on some of those super long lines we just had on Chuck from Mandalay Bay, and there's nothing that upsets me more than arriving for a big conference and having to wait. So I love having my room available to me before I even get there. So thank you for that. All right, so the next element of this plan, which I just lost, was cleaning and disinfecting. High touch points being cleaned regularly. All right, it looks like Anthony's on the go. I wonder if he's talking. Let's unmute his mic and see what's going on. Anthony, are you there? What's going on over here, sir?
What's up, buddy? Can you see?
Oh, we can see. We can see you walking around the casino floor. Stephanie and I are giggling that you're out and about right now. There he is.
Yeah, I couldn't stop myself. I wanted to see. They just opened it, and I was here yesterday with no people, so it was great. Oh, and by the way, did you see my new mask with my logo on it? You like that?
Nice. What is? Oh, is that a Hustler Success? Or
No,
I can't see it
it's
too
the
well.
Melchiorri logo.
Nice.
Well, I just had to go out there and see the customers. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. So what we're doing is we're just talking about cleaning and disinfecting. So you got to find the art of being visible, but not too visible with that. Right, Stephanie?
And you exactly said it, right? I think that it's okay. Things that we typically would have hidden back of house or not put in the public eye, I think it's okay now that people understand everything from sanitation or literally people physically cleaning those high touch points on a continuous basis. It gives people that confidence that we're doing what we have to keep the building safe and sanitary. We, again, within our meeting rooms, are working with customers on scheduling of their events. So things like coffee breaks, where, historically a group may do that for 15 minutes. We may recommend now that we need 20 or 30 minutes to get the room fully disinfected. And again, that's something that one may not be thinking about, but it all needs to go into the planning. Another thing on the planning is the scheduling of people leaving their rooms. So we want to do it in a staggered fashion. So again, we have to work with our meeting planners to ensure that track A is going to break at a separate time from track B so that there's not mass
Right, because there's so many events that I've gone to, everybody ends at the top of the hour and they all pour out. Maybe have people end at 2 o'clock, 2:05, 2:10, whatever it'll be. Get those crowds dissipated a little bit. That's just good, smart thinking that makes a whole lot of sense right now. What about food? That's such an essential part of all of the meetings. How are you rethinking food and beverage service during events?
Of course, having it to be a major component within the health protocols, from no self-service. Everything will, of course, be attendant served. And that includes everything from silverware being wrapped to how coffee is served to all food and beverage. And I think that the message I have here is we have spent the past 6 months ensuring that there is a way that we can still stay creative and provide a wow experience, but doing it in a health and safety way. So what we've created is things like marketplaces where you have this very cool setup for a coffee break where, you would traditionally have your pastries and your cookies and everything on a plate. But now in a very creative prepackaged way, everything with sustainability and compostable on the forefront of our thinking, but still with it looking nice and clean and fresh. Is really the important, so that we can still do it in the way we've always done, but it's now just done according to the health and safety protocol, which gives everyone confidence in what they're doing.
Well, I'll tell you what happened yesterday when I checked into the Sky Suites. I went into the lounge. Like I said, I had these great sandwiches. I think I had 36,000 of them, but they were individually wrapped in a little
compostable container,
a little box, and I felt very safe. I was like, oh, that's really cool. And I had like 2 or 3 of them. And, I took it myself, but it was wrapped in a little box. And again, I would have hated, matter of fact, when I was walking in, I was like, I hope they didn't take away the flowers because it's the best flowers ever. I love your flowers when I walk into the Sky Suites, and I hope they didn't take away my little snacks. That would have made a difference to me.
It is the difference. It's the service. It's the reason people come to us. So we have to make sure that we're upholding those amenities and service in the level that we can.
Yeah.
What would you say, out of all the things that you've had to be challenged with in the last 7 months? Obviously, the employees, some of them, having to be laid off. What is your biggest challenge? What has been the thing that has kept you up at night? That is really, because you're a force of nature. You can sense that your energy is. I wouldn't want to get in your way. You're a force of nature. What is the thing that you've really? And is that the first time you've heard that?
I'll take it as a compliment.
It is.
Listen. People say that to me, and I take it as a huge compliment if I were you. But it's because what's driving you right now?
I think that to keep a team motivated with things outside of our control. So my biggest mission is to keep salespeople motivated and inspired that have to talk to customers every day. And let's remember here, this isn't just about business and getting people back to work. We all are going through things that in a unique way in our personal lives, right? And it's about that we're human first. We're all going through this together, and we have had to have some hard conversations on people that worked years to get groups signed and contracted and negotiated. And now all of a sudden in a day, you get the phone call that the group has to cancel. And, these are people that this is their livelihood. This is how they make their money to live. And this is what they're inspired by. So when you ask me what's most important, that is really it, because that's what drives MGM Resorts is the relationships and the people and the employees that we have with our customers. And quite honestly, it's the reason that we have such a high repeat factor with our groups is these customers and these groups become, it's a partnership, and we work together, and now we're working together to provide solutions that we've never had to think about before or talk about before. And our meeting planners want to get back to business. They want to come.
Right.
If attendees aren't come, yeah.
And one of the reasons I did the TV show, It's Impossible and 5-Star Secrets and Extreme Hotels, to show the wonderful behind the scenes of how things work. And you touched on it. I want people to understand when you book a group, could be Amazon, Google, Microsoft, whatever you want, a big convention, that takes years. Sometimes a crew will work on that one contract for years. And you're living and breathing. And so you're not only losing the group, you're losing those friendships with the people that you've worked on the other side, with the team that's coming from the convention. You've worked with them for years and built real friendships and real business partnerships. I mean, it's really a special person that every single day has to really ensure that thing goes off without a hitch. And then all of a sudden to be wiped away must be very emotional.
Well, thank you for highlighting that, because it is absolutely true. And, when you think, that is why it has been so important to us to maintain those friendships and those partnerships for the future, even though they may not be meeting now. And by the way, all of those companies that you listed, they have multiple people, shareholders, teams involved in the planning, the contracting, everything that they're putting into it, all the hours that went up to executing the event that didn't end up happening. Again, it's how do you keep those people inspired that we're going to get this back? We're going to keep doing it. And then again, they come in the next day and it's a different group that's going to go through the same conversation on potential cancellation.
Right.
So,
what do you think? What are your expectations, though, for the next year in terms of that ramp up? Because right now it's pretty murky from our end, and all the hoteliers, the great leaders that we talk to every day, are excited to get back to business, but it seems like they keep moving the goalposts farther and farther.
Yeah, totally correct. That I don't think that we all thought, in March that we'd be sitting here today having the conversation about the rest of this year.
I think we all thought we'd be back to normal today.
That was the hope. You're absolutely right. I think that, two things. One, there are some small businesses or some small groups that are still meeting for the rest of this year. And we are doing absolutely everything to make them successful and within, obviously, everything that we can control. There is still business on the books for Q1 and Q2. And I think, again, dependent on the type of business, the size of the program, dependent on when we get increases on state government gathering protocols, that will impact their decision. We are just trying to continue to stay in conversation and communication. The one thing to note is 2021 was already a busy year. So we had a busy year leading up to it. The second half of the year has gotten even busier because you have all of the groups that have canceled or have moved into the second half of 21. And I'm proud to say that, future years pace is still ahead, again, just because of all the rebookings and schedulings.
Fascinating. Anthony, go on.
Do you think next year, when things get back to normal, a big influx of family reunions, people like that really normally don't travel, saying, you know what, I'm going to go back and travel? I mean, how do you think that's going to look?
Look, travel it's why we do what we do, right? It's why we're in the hospitality industry, whether it's our profession or, for me and my family, it's what we work so hard for. I can tell you that, yes, I believe that as we put confidence in people, whether it's through testing, whether it is through protocols of making people feel safe, I think people are going to have this yearn to get back to being face-to-face in social environments, getting away for the weekend, going on a destination or a vacation that they've always loved, getting their traditions back of things that they've always done annually, or finding a reason for a family, like you said, to get back together face-to-face in a destination that they know that they can have confidence in.
Right, Stephanie, I completely agree with you, but one of the things that I'm finding frustration with now are certain companies out there are making decrees that nobody's going to do business travel for all of 2021 or whatever it might be. That seems rash to me. Are you seeing a lot of that with the clients that you're dealing with? And how do you get companies to say, just think about 2-3 months in advance? Don't be ridiculous and say something 6, 8, 9 months in advance.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. There have been those organizations that have made those statements, whether it's from remote offices or no business travel through the end of the year or through middle of next year. Quite honestly, it's why we've tried to come up with some solutions to be able to still provide meeting and spaces for those companies that people still have to meet face-to-face, whether it's an executive team, whether it's through salespeople that live around the country that have to get face-to-face. We're looking at a number of programs to launch in 21, possibly as far as like renting out our space as a destination that people can centralize in and come to once a month. But I agree with you that I wish people would say, let's only look in our crystal ball for 60 or 90 days. Let's not necessarily look in our crystal ball for 8 months.
Right, especially because things are changing so much. A vaccine could come, everything could change. Sorry, Anthony.
That's all right, Glenn. I'm here, by the way.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me that I'm stuck on Long Island while you're in Vegas.
Well, I shouldn't even
I'm going to go get a tissue.
I don't even know what the hell I was going to say. The anticipation of coming here on my first trip was a little, I don't get nervous.
We all have that anxiety. Yeah.
But I got a little anxious. Once I got here and the protocols were in place, I feel safe. I feel great. I feel normal. I mean, I feel 100% normal, and I feel that, like we have a very short attention span as humans. I feel once we get a vaccine, we're going to not forget that this happened, but I think we're going to get back to normal a lot faster. And this, to me, was a real test for me to see how normal I feel, and I felt real normal.
Thank you. No, that you're absolutely right. And one thing that you just said as we bring meetings back together is having attendees be around other guests and attendees that take it as serious and give the confidence that we can do it. I think that's what's going to be the success for all of us, right? With whether it's through protocols of wearing masks, keeping distance within meeting spaces, how you're at your food and beverage functions, and remembering that is the only thing that is going to help all of us is if we all remain vigilant and do what we have to get our business back face to face and just all around travel.
And last night I was having dinner with Shannon McCollum and a couple other people, and we were outside. And however they did it, the table was socially distanced. Even though we were outside, we didn't have our masks on. But I felt like, wow, there's a big table, but I still feel intimate. I don't know how they did it, but it worked. And I didn't get up and go back to my room and say, oh, my God, I just had dinner with a bunch of people. I just existed like I did before the pandemic.
Good for you.
I just had dinner and had a drink and went to sleep, took a shower, and then I went back to work. It wasn't like this thing that I was like, oh my God. I was just like, oh, that was normal. Didn't even think about it till this second.
And instead of being stressed about it, I hope you actually felt good. Like it felt good
great
to be with people in a social environment. But again, you were outside, you were at a distance, and we are able to provide all of that. So I love hearing that.
And again, I walked through the casino with my mask on, walked through the restaurant. They all had their masks on. I sat down at the table. I felt very comfortable. I took my mask off. The waiters, the waitresses, they all had their mask on. And it was the first normal dinner I've had in 7 months. And it didn't feel normal. It just felt like it wasn't like, oh, this is normal. It was just like, oh, okay. That's right. I am a human being. I forgot.
Stephanie, I got a question for you in regards to meetings. Anything that you're seeing that might be a developing trend with the length of meetings? Either they're getting shorter because people are anxious to stay in a place too long, or perhaps conversely, they're getting longer so they could space out events more and give people that more of a sense of security. Anything in regards to that at all?
Absolutely. And quite honestly, what we're seeing is there's not a black and white answer to it. It's really based on the type of the meeting. I will say that in some ways, look, from a budgetary standpoint, having a shorter meeting costs less. Mm-hmm. So again, whether it's a corporate group, whether it is an association, whether it is a trade show, consumer event, that is really what's determining what the future length of meetings is. And the past 7 months have changed that, whether it's going shorter or longer for groups. You did say something on scheduling. There is going to be more space needed for every group, and there's going to be a longer break and a longer schedule in the day, purely because of the recommended social distancing protocols and how things have to be done. And not sitting close to someone for an extended period of time like we would have done historically, where, sitting in the same room for 45 minutes next to someone. We're really trying to change that and do it for shorter lengths of time.
Well, don't change it too much if Anthony and I are doing live shows in front of an audience. But other than that, I totally get it. Yeah.
I have an idea. Our really good friend, Ron Paul, that runs Best Western, I think we have to call him and say, you have to have a convention here next year.
I think that's a really good idea. And Stephanie, just so you understand, I was with Best Western last week shooting content for their virtual conference that I'm helping them with and hosting. But Stephanie, that's interesting because you're talking about everyone needs more space, but you're also talking that there's a lot of conventions that rebooked, and you're already having a great year in 2021. How are you going to make it all work if we're kind of still in this weird quasi in-between period?
I think that, like we talked about, that we didn't think we'd be sitting here today in March. We are going to continue to go with as we need to go. The days are changing. We can't predict the future. We're going to continue to work with the partners and find solutions. And you know what? If this extends again, God forbid, longer than we think it's going to, we're going to work with them just to rebook again in the future. So
yeah, because it's a crazy problem to have, too much business and not enough potential space for it. I wish you such issues in the future, but without having to do social distancing. What's that, Anthony?
The good news is there's, I'm going to go do a tour of the Drew Hotel tomorrow. I'm going to go by the Virgin hotels. The great thing for this city and for MGM is other hotels are opening. You don't want to hear that those hotels don't open. We need those hotels to open because it pushes all of us forward.
You are absolutely correct. And that's something about Las Vegas that, look, we've always been a close community. We tend to come together in times of need and working together. And that has been the exact case here. We need as a city to move on. And as positive and as excited as I am, we're not going to get back to our normal levels in 21. And obviously, we have continued risk. But standing here today, I feel a lot more positive than I would have answered, again, a month ago or a couple months ago, as far as protocols, get group gathering guidelines, and testing capabilities to get face-to-face meetings back together.
All right, so let me say, I wouldn't even say the last couple of years were normal. There were so many people coming to the city. You guys have been breaking records year after year after year. So even if it gets back to the numbers you had 5 years ago, still incredibly impressive numbers and nothing to be upset about. So I just want everybody to understand that if the numbers seem low, that's only year-by-year comparison. That's not what we're talking about over the last 40 years.
Exactly. And you're exactly right. Last year was a record-breaking year for us and from a convention destination standpoint.
Yep.
So,
Anthony?
And when I realized just in my own business, the vast majority of all my keynote speaking engagements was here in Vegas. Not by like, because I love Vegas. It was just like, where is it, Vegas? Where is it, Vegas? Where is it? I was like, is there another city in the country? Like I was like, trust me, nobody loves Vegas as much as I do. Maybe D. Martin, that song, and says I love Vegas, but outside of D. Martin, like my business, like I literally was on a plane twice a month to Vegas.
Well, thank you for that. And that's why we are so passionate about this city, because there's so much to offer for every single type of group.
Stephanie, I know you got to go. Any final words, moment of positivity for us?
It is. Again, thank you for the opportunity. We need to make sure that the world knows there was a reason we did this safely and solely. And we're just excited to share Convene with Confidence and getting face-to-face meetings back to Las Vegas and MGM Resort. So thank you to both of you.
And one other thing I want to say, if you come to the area, you come to MGM, go to Italy and get their sandwich, their steak sandwich. It is the best sandwich I've ever had in the history of sandwiches. It rivals the pastrami from Katz's. Absolutely unbelievable. It's one of the reasons I just love coming back, because I love that sandwich.
And then come back later in the day and go to Best Friend, because that place is freaking
Best
awesome.
Friend, what's that?
That's a favorite.
It's a Korean barbecue joint. Go.
Where?
There, where you are.
right down here. One of my favorites.
All right, I'm going to check it out.
All right. Stephanie, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Lots of good luck to you. I hope that people are convening with confidence really soon. Thank you.
I appreciate you both. Thank you. Have a good day. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Anthony, I don't know whether or not to be happy because this was such a great show, or just to be sad that I'm here in New York and you're over there in Fantasyland. I love it. I'm so excited for you. Look at that smile.
You know what? After talking to Stephanie and John and Chuck, one of the things I've realized is people that say, hey, should I stay in the business or should I look for another job? If you can afford to just, stay, if you're laid off, you're furloughed, if you can just hold on, get a part-time job, get a supplement job, and wait till your hotel opens, wait till your city opens. I mean, there is nothing better than hospitality. There's nothing better than this industry, especially being in Vegas where everything happens. I mean, every convention, every singer comes here. You have all kinds of hotels, all kinds of food and beverage. It really is a city that is unlike any other. And I'll tell you, for the first time in 7 months, I feel like, you know what, we're going to get back.
Yep. Good. I'm glad that you feel that way. I'm feeling really enthused between getting to do a speaking engagement yesterday, Anthony, in front of people, and now you in Las Vegas seeing this. It really does feel like we're on the right track back to industry health and prosperity.
And Glenn, tell everyone the secret of what happened between the last 48 hours, that Anthony Melchiorri produced the show with you guys remote. And I was more nervous than anybody, because it's like, how am I going to get all this technology together when I could barely use my cell phone? David,
hold on. Let me step in here. First of all, this is a tremendous show. Don't let anybody out there let Anthony fool you. He was on point the entire time. We were in constant communication the entire time. There was a certain tech issue that we had when we first were setting up, and Anthony fixed it. He ran the show from Vegas. He is he is selling himself short.
Well, thank you, David. But I will tell you this: that will be the last time, because I don't enjoy that.
That's too bad, because I was about to shift that responsibility down to you, because I can't handle the pressure when we do these remote engagements.
Well, it's really quick. I can solve that problem if you give me that responsibility. I quit.
All right, so tune in tomorrow for No Vacancy with just Glenn.
Listen, I also want to just give a shout out to MGM, to Stacy, to her team, the PR team, to John, to Chuck, to everyone that came on. I mean, these people are busy. I mean, they're opening hotels. There's a lot going on. To give us the respect and to come on our show and give us the opportunity and really be really transparent and creative. It's a blessing, tremendously grateful. And I'd like to really show other people and young people that, listen, they started like you. They started working really, really hard. They went to sleep late, they woke up early, and they were
Mhm.
being able to be counted on, and that's how they ascended to their positions. It's not a secret. It's not a Jedi mind trick. It's just work really, really hard. And they're in a position of leadership, thank God, because they have really shown the industry how it's done.
They sure have. And while you're at it, guys, I want to thank the good folks at Eco Technology and the Eco Bin. Be sure to check them out because it's such an interesting product to help people feel safe and secure. Go to eco-techwaste.com. Learn more about them and tell them Anthony and Glenn sent you, but more specifically say No Vacancy Live so they know exactly what we're talking about. So thanks. Anthony, what are you doing for the rest of this morning, afternoon?
We're going to shoot some videos. I've got to go see our friends. I got to go look at the Seabot again. Tell people, remind people what Seabot's all about.
I love the Seabot. And I encourage you to go check our show on the Seabot where we debuted this great product. It's actually a robot that goes around and uses the electrostatic spray automatically without any human intervention to cover all of the surfaces in guest rooms, public spaces, schools, offices, whatever it might be. An incredible product at the most important time in our history. So go check that out.
We had like 6 or 7 different properties looking at it yesterday here in one of the suites, and got a lot of great feedback. There's 3 or 4 more meetings today, and it's a fantastic product, and I think it'll really be helpful in the meeting conventions. But anyway, my friend, and then I've got then what do I got? I got a couple
poker.
Other,
Poker.
no, I don't know if I'm going to play today. And then I got a couple of calls, and then tomorrow I'm going to do the. I'm
so jealous of that.
I'm going to see the Drew.
I'm so excited for you.
Well, if I can, maybe I can call into the show and on my phone, while you're doing the show, whoever's on tomorrow. Who's on tomorrow?
I have to look that up because this has been such a crazy week. I don't even remember. Stalling. Oh, tomorrow we're going to be talking to Petty Berg at Castell. They're an organization that helps empower women hoteliers find success. So that's going to be a really good show.
Well, and so maybe just send me the link and maybe I'll call in because I have a meeting at 8:30 tomorrow with them.
Great.
To walk through. So I'll be over there by 8:45 and maybe I'll click on for a few minutes if I'm allowed to.
Great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Anthony, have fun today.
Hey, Glenn, thank you for all your help. David, thank you for all your help. And it was an absolute pleasure. Great show today, man.
Yeah, really great show today. Thanks to you and all of the great guests. Stacy over at MGM, thank you for setting us up and being such great partners with No Vacancy Live. We really appreciate it out there. And guys out there, if you haven't subscribed to our newsletter, be sure to subscribe. Text the word hotel to 66866. That's hotel to 66866. And of course, subscribe to our audio podcast feed. We all know a lot of you guys got out there, got to walk the dogs. A lot of you women got to get in the car, drive long places. All of you people, be sure when you're working out, listen to No Vacancy Live on either Checking In with Anthony and Glenn or the No Vacancy audio channel available on iTunes, Google Play, or wherever you choose to get your podcast. Anthony, great seeing you today. Have fun tonight. Remember, guys, you've got one life, so blaze on. And
these masks will be available soon, and and all money will go to Hospitality Success. Hospitality Strong. So all proceeds will go to our charity. This is my logo. It's a great mask. It covers your face. So these will be available soon. And remember, be kind to yourself.
And Friday, special show 2 p.m. to talk about what's been going on with the Hospitality Strong initiative. They've been giving out money, and we're going to learn where it went. So that's Friday, special show at noon. We usually take off Fridays, but no time for us to rest.
I should put that on my schedule.
Yeah,